We are going to continue our efforts on creating crystals of Mabar. So give me a moment here for me to verify signal. Here for me to verify signal. Here for me. That doesn't sound so bad. Okay, cool. So if you follow me on Twitter, I literally just posted there. So you are now seeing that I've gone live, and I'm just going to punch some signals here on Discord real quick as I do. Just to get the day going. Let's see. We got DMsGuild, and we got Indestructible Boys Designosphere, and the DTRPG OBS channel. I'll be done here in a second. Hey, while I'm clicking a bunch of my buttons, do me a favor, and I've got 105 subscribers so far, and about 600 hours of watch time. If you would be able to follow me for at least a while to help me build up my numbers and check out some of my content to help me get to that monetization market, I'd appreciate it. There's also a bunch of books that you can look at on DMsGuild at no cost. They're 100% preview, link down below. You know, anything you can do to help me push the signal, that would be great. I know that development and game design isn't nearly as popular as a bunch of other stuff, so hopefully it'll be interesting for folks to see the process of creating the content for you know, building an adventure. So that's what we're doing here. We're in edits right now. When it comes out of edits, then we're going to go into layout. Once we go into layout, then we'll know how everything sits on the page. So we'll know how much interior artwork and how to break up the maps and how to present all the information. So right now I'm working on getting the cover done. Once the cover is done, then we go back to finalizing maps that will drop into the book. We'll break up each of the maps into little sections, like by room or by area, so that they can sit on their own page with the content relevant to them surrounding it. So right now we're working on paths and the characters in them, and I want to make something a little bit more granular than this. So like, this is really granular, this is really rough chop. So I think I'm going to go in here, stick with a small brush, probably grab some of this lighting here and here, and just try playing with this a bit. Just to see what I can build out of this. Maybe it'll be good, maybe it won't. I can already tell when something. A little more granular. I have about 2 hours that I get to play, a little bit less. It's 9:30 here in Seattle, and I'll be checking out at 11:30. That reminds me, I need to set a timer. I gotta check out at 11:30 to get my day on, but I may be back much later tonight, like around maybe 9 or 10 o'clock. To do some late night streaming. We'll see how that shakes out. Not really sure. But I'm going to set my timer for 20 minutes, and we're just going to take a sip of coffee and continue at it. All I'm doing here is adding texture by making it a light, the same sort of brush but much smaller scale. So it kind of eats into these large, like these larger points here, like here and here and here and here. Like you can see the real fractalness of it. I'm trying to dissolve some of that fractal ness into the general form of it. Like as you pan back, I want it to look more and more crystal-y, which I feel like I'm accomplishing here. So far, so good. So what? What do you got going on down here? Let's grab that. Wrong. Wrong, wrong, wrong. That should be... more like that. That's a lot of texture. Loving it. Loving it. All right, let's see if I can do this. See if I can do this right. I'm liking that grittiness. That feels right. I keep forgetting I have to work from the middle of the circle outward because this outer edge, I'm clipping the outer edge. So like if I do something here and trim that out and then do something here, it eats into these crystals here. So I have to spiral out from the center of the lighting source so that I can keep working the back edge of the texture that I'm using to stay clear of the stuff that I did ahead of it. Does that make sense? See, you can see how it's striating like that. And I can increase the size of the font of the brush just a touch. So as you get closer and closer to the front of the page, it becomes more and more granular. It becomes larger and larger to view. Do that here. 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 I'm using a super light touch to keep the opacity kind of low because I don't want them being too bright, too sharp. They pop out on their own. There we go. Now that we're built up all these layers, when I go back through and darken it up for the, because it needs to be dark, it feels a little more informed. So there's that's too flat. So what I need to do is go back through and stack them back up. here. That should texture out pretty good. So we zoom back, and yeah, it's looking a little bit better now. Let's go back through and layer some more until we get it right. Good. Now we can go back to the other side and build up similar layers over here. Right path, and now we got a path. Just do the same repeating pattern here. Tunneling effect, you can use a larger font, brush size again, press down and wiggle it a little bit so it presses in. Spin my brush a little bit while I erase this so that the pattern is a little less consistent. Am I stable? Yeah, it looks like we're okay. Okay. And drop it in here. That. And the lighter the brush I use, the lighter the crystals I put down, so I can preserve the distant lighting. Pan out. It's got that sameness going on, so I'm going to try to stack in some more darks. Let's do that. That'll help. Gonna do here. Hey Tyler, how you doing, man? Make it happy. No way. Amy? I can't tell. I legitimately can't tell because I don't see colors. So all I get is contrast, and from here the contrast feels really good. But if it really is just too samey, I can take that as an actually legit critical point. I don't necessarily think pink is supposed to be the right way to go. But that is a legit I'm actually pretty paranoid about. As I said, I can't really tell. Okay. I have to take that shit seriously. There you go. Grab some coffee here while I shake off your sass. Just want to break up that light just a touch. And then there. So there's our 6.3. That's our scale on the DMsGuild. I know, right? Isn't it ironic? I don't see color, but I'm the guy that made the 5-color mana system. I know, right? It was a personal challenge, honestly. So, yeah, the world is funny. This is how big it appears on the product page at DMsGuild, and then when you click on the cover illustration itself, it's about that big on the DMsGuild. And then if you download it, then it'll get this close. So we need to make sure we detail out. Uh-oh, looks like I just froze. Saving. All right, I have to relaunch this. Yeah, cannot see any color. I'm glad to hear it. Yeah, like all the stuff I've been using, I was using color samples. So, did I? Got rid of my sample reference box. I was using, yeah, I just like grab pictures of trees and stuff and then just color pick off the trees. And that's where my decisions for colors come from. Just photographs and paintings that I like. And then I can use the RGB over here. Like for instance, let's go adventuring. Let's go to what is it? Eberron Silver Flame Night. Let's do that. And then grab images. That's a Cleric of the Silver Flame. Is that true? Nah, that's just some guy. Keith Baker's blog. That's probably more legit than anything. So let's go ahead and copy that image and see if it picked up. Dressing. There we go. Okay, cool. So we're going to make this front line. Actually, it should probably come from here. So I'm going to go with this guy. For now anyway, going with him being silver light. So here's the colors that we have. I'm going to switch my brush to a circle. So here's the colors we have to work with. I can see over here that's it's like a lightish blue. And here I can see that there's a mild red, but it's like leather. This is probably a bluish metal, like steel of some sort. Looks like it's got a finish on it. The stone over here, again, I can see the blueness to it. This is matching the metal here, so I can tell that these are the same type, that this and this are the same type of metals. The fabric here seems to be lining up with it a lot. So there's a lot. There's this very pale motif going on here that I think I'm gonna lean into. So I'm just gonna grab this shadowy color of the armor. And then I can come down here and I can go to heroes. I'm just going to put an overlayer on the heroes for now. If this is the one that I'm going with, and actually I just had to change a heart. I'll open this up. Open this up. Guy in the middle. I'm gonna make a duplicate of this. Hide that so I can directly mess around with it directly like that. So this is a copy. So there's this one and then there's this one. So we're working with the copy. I'm going to just start messing with it. This is how I basically do an overlay of color on the black and white thing that I did here, so that the default is to fade into darkness. Fade into darkness. But yeah, I just borrowed a color from something that I feel like I can trust, and then I drop it in and trust that I did it correctly. So it's all, I literally have no idea. The dream is that when I die, I get to see these things in color, and that my limited flesh machinery will strip away, and I'll be allowed to see all the work that I did in actual color as my life fades to black. That would be wonderful. Don't know, but it gives me a reason to enjoy dying. It's a hope. If you have something you're looking forward to when you're dying, dying is not so bad. So all religions say. But I'm generally on board with the idea. That's how I end up coloring stuff, pretty much just like that. One of my goals is to not overemphasize these characters in the illustration. Symbolically, they're just placeholders for the 6 different plots that you can have during the adventure. So I don't want to overemphasize the colors on these guys, but at the same time, like a little touch of blue is going to make this thing pop a lot. I recognize that because I know that the palette I've used throughout it is color that I put in on these guys is automatically going to pull your eye to it. So I know structurally I don't know what the right word there is. I know that I have to keep it low saturation so it doesn't completely blow out the balance of the picture. But that, again, that's going to all just be on gut. So that's why I ask for spot checks from people on occasion, just to make sure that I'm not using gold, as a flesh color on accident, which I've done before, back in the early days, back in like the early 2000s when I was just first getting into using Photoshop for painting. I wasn't so good at linking up what I was seeing on the screen with the RGB menu, so I would like a model illustration would grab my eye as something I wanted to use, but didn't realize like she had her skin painted an exotic color for the artistry of the illustration. I just thought she had an exotic color, so. Like, oh, that's fascinating, but those are mistakes that you make and you learn. It's just an added pile of mistakes I can make on top of everything else I can fuck up in an illustration. So it's challenge accepted, right? My friend Larry, who we played D&D with, he just challenged me. He's like, why don't you try to figure out how to do colors? Like, I don't see colors. Like, well, why don't you figure it out? Like, God damn it, I don't have a reason to say no to that, and so I tried to figure it out, and I did. So I love you, Larry. I will never stop thanking him. I thank him occasionally on stream. He was supposed to play D&D with us today, but he bowed out, the little wanker. I get to play my. I keep forgetting his name. Raz. That's right. Um, Cult of Rakdos background, Artificer, Battlesmith. 4th level, runs around with a repeating crossbow on the back of a black and red metallic hellhound. Screeching praises to Rakdos, attempting to tear down the plutocracy world, and bringing truth to power, and torture them to death for their misgivings against society. That's the front, but he's really just a sadistic bastard that just wants to hurt people, and he uses mob mentality as an excuse to get to it. He'll eat your leg if you give him the opportunity, and if he feels that you've been running an unfair race, he'll take it just to spite you. But in all reality, he plays a much softer heart. I like to pretend that he's a brutal killer. I just can't portray it. I keep trying to help the team way too much and like ask way too many innocent questions. I have an evil problem in which I'm horrible at playing evil characters. I can't pull it off. I'm gonna grab this and bring it down here so it's easier to reference. Let's grab that. This is the I'm gonna go here real quick and look at core mechanics. Just to demonstrate a point here really quick. It was faster to find it this way than elsewhere. Full doc. This process that I'm using right now is the same process I used to create this character and this character, and that I started with a black silhouette and then I overpainted it with different colors. So I know there's a big sample sticker going across here, so that guy looks a little muddy, but this is like you can see there's just large blocks of dark, probably black here that I didn't need to highlight, but I just overlaid color where the highlights are hitting, and then I feathered it in. I love this style. I did the same method with the black dragon head here, but I used different styles, but similar color processing for the red dragon and the blue dragon, the green dragon, the white dragon. Yeah, and I used the same effect here for the stairs, and you can see similarity here in the brushwork that I have here than that I have here, because they're similar brushes. So same effect, but I really love that hard lighting. It feels so comic booky. It's very crisp. That's the style that I really like because I don't have any color vision, obviously. So I'm really drawn to contrast and like high contrast defining shapes. So that's I'm still proud of that one. I'm proud of that one. But that's the same approach that I'm going with here right now, except there's just going to be less detail. So I'm going to merge this down while I'm going through this process here. Thank you. As once I know the color references are okay, then I can just do the art thing, and higher skilled artists will tell that the actual key to good illustration is contrast. And which amuses the hell out of me because they talk about how artists have to train their eye to keep the colors from tricking them into thinking contrast exists where it might not actually be. Like this blue here and this off green here. I don't know how much contrast that actually has in your eye for color when you look at it, but it's almost the exact same grayscale. So in my eye, there's virtually no difference between this background here and this blue here. Let me grab that green and then grab this blue. Like when you look at all of it, it's all rotating around the same axis, right going through right off where this G is at. Since they jiggle around that same center point, there's actually no real dichotomy in its in its value. It bleeds into each other. The color might still pop for you, but to me, there's virtually no difference. So in my eye, that's a good way of having that fade into the overall environment of the picture as quote unquote not standing out like such. But it may have enough color, there may be just enough color variance there that that leg stands out more for you than it does for me, and I'm okay with that. That's just, I guess, just like some of the magic of art, you know. And as I did some of that smudging here, and then this is black, basically 333, and there's a little bit of blue there, but then when I go in and I grab this here, here's this color, and then here's that mix of that smudging that I did into that black space to create that crease. That now becomes a shadow color that I can use over here as a reference for me to then build out the some mildly highlighted shadowing on the under part of the leg here. So that's how I can, and then I can fade it into the black, de-emphasize. Like I can just leave blocks of black where I don't want your eye to pay attention to the specific details of that area. Like these feet aren't important even in the slightest. So I'm de-emphasizing them as much as possible by just having them fade into the piece, if that makes any sense. So I can get away with doing very little work in these shadows and have them fit if I do it right, it'll overall look right, because your eye is tricking you into thinking there shouldn't be any details there because it's in the shadow. So any little pop of texture or patterning that I do in there will make your eye assume that patterning is repeated into the gray space, even though you can't see it. So that's why I'm working on this little hexing right now to bring in this little lining space I did there. Now I can go through grab that bit of armor there. It's the same general color, but just a higher value. So when I go through here like that, and then I can erase it a little bit to fall in the shadow, and then so now it's got this textury feeling, but it's so small that it's not really standing out on its own. It doesn't need to. So next guy. Get this back to 100%. Keep my edges clean to help the form stand out a little bit more against the clean line here against the rough texture of the background. It's going to allow it to have a contrast in texture and style. So it's going to be really subtle at the level that we're at, but people will be able to zoom in like to here. So I want to have at least a consistent level of detail that has logic to it. So go in here. I like to point out this is episode 50, and it's the 13th episode that we have been working on the cover specifically. 13 is a very significant magical number in the world of Eberron, and 50 is a fun benchmark on any kind of stream. So this is the 50th episode of me producing Eberron, this adventure content. Most of that had been map work, but some of it was plants, small environments, but most of it was maps. 13 episodes have been of this cover specifically, which isn't bad for cover production. This one has been pretty fast and easy in comparison. I've done maybe 20 hours of art production on this cover outside of the 13 episodes, so like maybe 40 hours I've spent on this. That gives you an idea. Like if I'm getting paid minimum wage here in Seattle, that's going to be roughly $20 an hour. So this is an $800 painting at this point, which is I would charge about probably around $1,200 for a book cover if I were to be commissioned to do it, which puts me at, if it was like to be this level of quality, that would end up being around $25 to $30 that I would get paid. And of course there'd be commercial license rights for reuse. Like if you want to, like $1,200 for a full page of art is what I would do for like a private commission. If it's commercial art, I could double or triple it, or not at all, depending on what the arrangements are. Like if I'm getting a percentage of royalty, I might just do $1,200 up front for a full page and then ask for 5% or something like that. But for a Kickstarter project, it's actually pretty reasonable. I've done some art creative for Kickstarters in the past. I forget the name of the books, but there's been a number of them. And the way that I normally do it is I offer private commission rates to produce the art for them ahead of time so they can use it for promotional purposes, but they don't actually have ownership until the Kickstarter is complete. So they only have to put up a little bit of money up front, but they don't actually own the illustrations that I produce for the project until it successfully funds, at which point they can obviously afford to purchase the commercial rights because they bake that into the cost of the Kickstarter. It's actually a really good way to go. Like doing artwork for Kickstarters, assuming that you like the projects, is a lot of fun. But the problem is that as a freelancer, you are a quill for hire. So you might not, if you want to get paid for the artwork that you're doing, you might not like the artwork that you're doing, which is what got me into book production in the first place. It's like, if I'm just going to be murdering myself on creating artwork all this time anyway, and not necessarily get the prices that I want for projects. If I get the prices that I want, it's probably not a project that I want. If it's a project that I want, it's probably not going to be the prices that I want. So I kept running into that problem. Oh, wow, this is a cool project, but you don't have shit for money. If I get involved in this, I'm going to love it, but I'm also going to hate you for paying me so little. So that's what got me into making my own books. Because if I don't make any money on the book, at least that's my fault. But the more I believe in the book, the more art, the more I'm pushing to make it look as good as possible. And so I'm trying to find a balance between how much effort do I need to put into this book to get the kind of returns that I want. And that is a ongoing process. And obviously the more successful I am with book production, the more people are going to trust that it's good material, they're going to purchase it, and that opens up more opportunities for me to just get paid better for artwork. And my long-term hope is to build basically a studio of tools for people to build RPG games with, using the systems and ideas that I establish, so that I can just hire you onto a crew. What do you want to build? I want to build this thing using these mechanics. It's like, awesome. I'm happy to help you in consultation of it, but let me get started on the book cover. And then I can just work on hype and artwork and project and then project management for these things, and then hire out writers and editors for them to do all the work that they want with whatever the piece is. Like I want to do a mass combat Modron book, and I've got somebody online that's interested in doing that. I want to do a In Command guild book for all the Ravnica guilds, and I've got somebody who's interested in doing that with me. So like once the mechanics are established, it's like, hey, do you get how these mechanics work? Yeah, these are really cool mechanics. Cool. Do you want to build Boros using them? Hell yeah. Do you want to get paid to do it? Sure. Great. Then let me go ahead and get to work on some Boros art. And you build out the Boros Legion using this guild system that I have in the In Command book. We'll build the thing. You'll get a percentage. I'll get a percentage. We'll hire an editor. They'll get a percentage. And the two of you guys can just hammer out the text. And when the text is done, hand it off to me. I'll do the layouts, and here's the book cover. Does that work? Yes, it does. Awesome, cool. Now we have a book cover for it. Let's just keep building this thing out. Like that's how that's the Packs and Patrons book that I have, which is on the DMsGuild. The Packs and Patrons of Ravnica. That's like I did maybe 15% of that book. The rest of that was different writers and editors, and I focused most of mine. Like I set up the format and how I want a guild to look for like Gruul. I did Gruul, and it's like, that's what Gruul looks like. Now do that for all the other guilds, and they did. And that is probably going to become a copper bestseller probably this week. There's only one sale left, and I typically get a sale every week or so on the guild for that book right now. So it'll probably become a copper bestseller this week, and so that'll be. I want to say that's the last. The last book I have that has not yet reached copper is Elemental Key, and it's part of the 5-color mana bundle. So it'll automatically get there eventually, probably next month or so. It'll also be copper, which means that there's been roughly a sale every week, 1 or 2 sales a week. Sorry, bundle sales, one or two sales a week is how it's been sitting for the past year, which I have no problem with, being just a half casting monk variant. That's not bad because people are buying it. They may not be interested in the monk specifically, but it's another use of the color mana system, so it's part of the color mana bundle, and people are still investing weekly in that. So it's almost big enough now. I'm looking forward to the Martial Powers project finishing, because I can offload the Elemental Key book into the Martial Powers book and use that as a frame. Like I can have the Martial Powers book and the Core Mechanics book as a single book. I can, as single products, I can have those two plus like that and Core Mechanics as a single bundle, and then I can have all my books, period. I then have an excuse to make like a super bundle where like all my books are half off if you buy the full bundle. It'll end up being $20 for me, and you end up saving like $30 yourself. So folks that are into my stuff, which apparently there are some, I can start creating broader bundles that aren't thematic. While these projects come out, I can then create more focused bundles on, hey, if you're into powers specifically, here's a bunch of martial power monks that I made. Like here's a Shadow Mountain variant and all that kind of crap. And once the Spelljammer command book comes out, I can do all sorts of Spelljammer and space stuff, like using that as a base frame. I can then use that as an anchor for Spelljammer bundles, because there's a bunch of second edition Spelljammer adventures that people are in the process of translating, and I can get more involved in those projects by offering use of my mechanics to make those books happen. And if I get people on board with that, then they can bundle in with the In Command book. And obviously this will bundle with the Eberron Adventure Toolkit that I'm building. Everything folds into each other. If you're going to make something, you want to make it something that you can make something else with eventually. So, like bundle, bundle, bundle. Like have things build off of each other. Have things curve into each other. Give reasons for people to purchase your thing because they're going to end up making use of that purchase to give you a discount for something else. So, anyway, I'm rambling. I'm going to blame the coffee, so let's have some more. There we go. So I got an hour. I bet I'll be done with this guy in an hour. I am really liking the lighting here. Very, very pleased with that sheen. Like that leg doesn't need to be any more detailed than that. That is plenty good. Man, I'm really happy with this. It feels so good getting back into painting. I'm really trying to back off the amount of projects that I'm working on so that I can just have like one major production at a time. Like I really overbooked myself with both the In Command book and this Eberron adventure and the Martial Powers book. Ideally, I'd only have one project that I was working on at a time. Like the Martial projects, like the Martial Powers project in development, like have that in text phase, and ideally only having one book that I'm doing art production, so I can oscillate between artwork development. But I've got two large projects that are both backing up on me. The Spelljammer book and this Eberron project, both are large, intensive, and they were so out of pace with each other when I had eventually launched those projects. I didn't realize that they would catch up with each other, and so that's a learning mistake on my part. So now I'm juggling production time between the two projects. Spelljammer is still super hot, and will probably remain that way. I don't give a crap about Dragonlance, so I don't have anything else on my anything critical in my mind until Planescape, which will be next year. So I'm hoping what'll happen is I'll get these projects finished, and then I can move Martial Powers into art production, and then continue the text development for the remaining mass combat, army and guild mechanics as separate pieces to bundle with Spelljammer, but to develop them separately so that they can be standalones, and to help parse out that project glut, so that while I'll like by January I'll be done with the text for Martial Powers, I can push it off to editing and anticipate the rewrites for the edits to be completed by, the word I want to use is end of February, so that when Mabar, this book and the Spelljammer books are published, then I'll have art production back for the Martial Powers book, and I can then continue with just flat text development for Armies, Guilds, and Kingdoms. So I'll be back into one project of text production, while the other project will be into artwork, and I can continue oscillating between those two things and not be overworked. And from there, I have to integrate time to package artwork from these books to be sold as stock art on DTRPG, Twitch, as well as on my Patreon. And that is I mean, I can't even finish my stupid website, much less package art. So I'm in a real production bind where all that footwork just completely kills the artistic creativity of me being involved with this. I don't have a business mind built yet over all this time. Like I don't want to lose the passion of it being a hobby, but I want to be productive with the work. So, and productive means, you know, I'm taking time from family, friends. I have to justify it by producing revenue. So it's very much my family's philosophy coming through in my mind of having to be monetarily significant to have value, and that's something I'm trying to cure inside of myself, but it's a beast. So it compels a lot of the answers that I make. Like, how am I justifying the time I'm spending on something? What is the value that it is providing to my future and my family that justifies me sizzling so many hours of my life in front of this computer screen? And I tell myself the long-term goal is I've got, you know, another 20, 30 years I can do this artwork. That may or may not actually be true. And I'll have less and less time to produce it as I get further and further along. So I need to have something that's replicatable. So building a studio is the best way to go through that process. And the only way I can have a studio is by building successful products that demonstrate work with me, you're going to get paid. And that'll only really happen when I get into Kickstarters. But I can't do Kickstarters until I have a large enough audience that those Kickstarters will automatically succeed. And to be able to have that success, I need to be able to build a reliable audience. And the best I can tell, creating products, running a stream, and then getting a Patreon up and running, and then marketing those things is probably the only way for me to be able to build a consistent audience that will actually want to support me through different projects. So that probably means there's about a 5-year startup time from now, or rather that year started last year when I started this YouTube stream. Getting it to 10K plus is going to be the long-term goal, to be able to demonstrate stability in advertising product. Like once I get up to 40,000 followers, but that's the trick, getting up to 40,000 followers on like on an art stream or a content production, or worse of all, both, where they're long form 2 to 5 hour streams. There's not a lot of interest and value in that long term. I mean, I have to find the culture and the audience that's interested in this long form production path, that's interested in checking in periodically and just mucking around with listening to what I have to say. So that means I need to start adding additional value during these long form streams, which means I have to start plucking out pieces from these long form streams as little short sound bites to demonstrate, hey, I'm talking about things that are of interest here, that maybe like advice stuff that's of value to people. So there's a lot of moving pieces that all have to integrate properly for me to be able to continue doing streams in this format. I mean, technically it's just accountability right now. I mean, the hours, I got to put in the hours producing the artwork, so I may as well put, like this, a number of them on stream just to yammer about stuff. But whether or not that yammering is interesting to people is really just an issue of, are they interested in me? And it's hard to say how much traction that gets. Like my most frequent visitors are people that I play test with. How many people am I gonna have to play test with? Am I gonna have to play test with 10,000 people to get enough of a crowd? It's like, yeah, we get what you're doing, man. We want to hang out with you. I don't know. It's tricky business, you know. It's tricky. Anyway, that's the stuff that I think about when I'm doing this. Whether that's interesting to anyone listen to or not, I guess that's what I'm trying to figure out with this channel, right? Is this stuff even interesting for people to watch? I know that artists get traction on Twitch, but Twitch bothers me. There's something I just can't resonate with it properly. So I like being here on YouTube, but I don't think there's as much of an art audience here. And but this isn't necessarily an art channel, right? It's an RPG product production that happens to do artwork occasionally. So it works all these different streams at the same time, and I don't know what kind of attrition that's going to end up having on any audience that accumulates following artwork. Like, are they going to be on board when I'm doing layouts? Like, how many people am I going to lose? Like, I'm not interested in layouts. I'm going to bail. So anyway, fear is what I'm talking about right now. What am I afraid of? What am I afraid of? That feels pretty good. There's a fog. Where is it? See, there's a fog that's causing that diffusion effect, which is why I have to pull colors up here, because the fog effect isn't affecting the top of the figure. I want to grab lighting from over there and do this. little bit darker here. And then we're going to get that, get those studs in here. Engage. All right, 20 minutes left, and then, oh wait, no, I got 50 minutes. Nice. 11:30 is my stopping time. It's only 10:40. 10:40 here in Seattle. Sorry, I'm apparently not saying a lot. Now, how boring, right? Hopefully the ambient music and light tapping of my keys is satisfying the ASMR crowd that is going to get algorithmed into this as just blank white noise as a descriptor. We'll see. We'll see. I don't know, maybe I should start adding the ASMR label to my to the descriptions of my art threads. Want some low commitment engagement with lots of background white noise? Enjoy Phil's stream, where he doesn't talk about anything. And it's just like, yeah, the less the better. Finally, my people. There we go. That feels pretty good. See, pretty simple dude. He's got a lot of gray going on to him, so. lots of fog. There we go. Now I think I can afford to do some REM lighting like that. Up my strength a bit, up to 70. Is that 70? Yep. Here, and then we're going to squinch this a bit. Give us a squinch. There. Merge that down. And still working on the curve here. Foreshortening curved surfaces, discs, and stuff is a pain in the ass, but it's something I chose for this piece, so it's something I am committing to. Let's go with here. there. Ugh, narg. No soulless. There we go. Okay, that's. I'm happy now. I am happy now. Darkness. I feel like I should say like, subscribe, help me get counts so that the algorithm knows that this kind of effort is desired. Share so that more people can take notice. If you know anybody who can't see color or is visually impaired and is concerned about their ability to be an artist, have them hang out here so they can recognize that it can be done. Like that. Let's look up. Uh-oh, am I streaming? I hope I'm streaming. Okay, it looks like I'm still in. Just have them hang out here so they can recognize. Cool. All right, looks like we're still doing. Let's look up silver flame holy symbol. This will be the giveaway. Liver. Silver flame Eberron holy symbol. There we go. Let's see what kind of fun we can have with that. Hey! That means 20 minutes left. It's 11 o'clock, half hour. Got a half hour. We are almost done with this guy. I should be back later on tonight. Let's see. Probably not. I've had sickness in the household, and I probably just need to get some more sleep. That looks pretty freaking cool. Let's just do a little bit more detail work here on the edges, and then this guy will be done. Been sick since Thursday, so sorry for being so quiet. I got to put in the hours, and I don't want to neglect the stream, but I don't have a lot of talkie power in me right now. My throat's pretty scraped up, so I don't think I'm going to be on later on tonight. I think I'm probably just going to be sleeping like crazy to try to get myself back up on par for, you know, a week of adventure. There we go. Pretty pleased with that. Pretty pleased. Get that built out. There we go. There. One hero. Two heroes. Three heroes. Yes, wonderful. So that guy's done. I'm pretty pleased. And now let's do something like this to ground him. In a bit. There, one character. There we go. So I reckon that probably pops out a bit. So I would imagine, get that green going on there. I reckon there's enough dichotomy in the color there that that guy stands out pretty easily for anyone. At this scale, this is the thumbnail size, which the skull and eye look of it should bait people into clicking it, which gives them this size, which baits them into wanting to take a look at the characters down here, which gets them to click on the full product preview image, which gets them to this point if they want. So I need to work on these crystals a bit more to texture them up a bit better, but these guys will stand out just fine in that mess. So this is a right level of resolution. Took about, what are we at? We're at hour 41, so it took about an hour and a half for us to produce that character. So I reckon it will take similar for the rogue and the cleric in the background. And then over here you got the fighter, ranger, and wizard, I guess, running this trail. So at the end we should have some interesting dichotomy of character types. Like this will be an assassin type, and then this will be like the ranger would be a gatekeeper. Makes a lot of sense to me. And this guy can just be a sword and board. And, you know, background guys are going to be more shadow than anything else. So, but yeah, I think this is coming along really well. I'm super pleased. This is all the time I have. My throat's kind of cashing out, honestly. So I don't think I'm going to be on later on tonight, but I will be back. Assuming that I'm going to end up crashing and burning tonight, and tomorrow I will be back online Monday for Martial Power Monday lunch. And then Monday night, if this isn't done, by Monday night, I reckon I'm going to be any closing marks on these characters, and then working on the crystals that are here, texturing this area here, cleaning up the leaf patterns and highlights back here, and then nitpicking stuff. So I said this last week, but I'm going to say it again this week. I think this week is going to be finished. So I believe I can have it done Monday night. And if I can't, then fuck it. I'll be done this time next week for sure. But if not, fuck it. The following week. The thing gets done when it gets done, and when I get tired of nitpicking at it. So we're getting close to that point where once these characters are finished, all the initial detail, like all the components will be in place, and then the only thing I really need to worry about is this stuff that we did earlier that needs to come back around to make sure that its level of detail is matching up to the rest of the composition. So, but fun stuff, dude. Super fun stuff. It's a shame this isn't ready for Halloween, but it'll be here for Halloween next year, and hopefully people will want to bundle in with it, and it'll be fun to be around. So I'm going to go ahead and cut stream here. I really appreciate anyone taking time to take a look at this. I'm really looking forward to having this published on the Guild so that you guys can thumb through it. It'll be 100% preview, so I mean spoiler alerts, whatever. But I'm just looking forward to the content being there for folks. So checking this out again, it's advertised resolution, which is about here. Thank you. Perfect timing. That's about the size it looks on the Guild. I'm really happy with how that's coming along. I think this is interesting. So, hey, let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Like, subscribe, follow me on Twitter so you can get a ping when I go live. Share if you know anyone with visual problems that want to be an artist and are intimidated by the idea. Lead them my way, because I had the same problem until I tried. So hopefully I can help anyone on that front. And drop me a line. So thanks so much. I'll see you guys on the other line.